Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So I am going to be doing a video today, as you have noticed from the title, which is a natural makeup video. So this is a how-to video. I haven't done a how-to in like ages, and I don't think I've ever done like a talk through to tutorial either, like a chit chat kind of thing. So I'm going to do that today. Let me just adjust my ears. I got these from Referral and they were on sale, so I thought for the tube. Right, so I have got pigmentation, I've got marks everywhere, I've got textured skin, I've got enlarged pores, I have got your definition of not great skin. I don't really get spots anymore, but I am generally a medium to full coverage gal. And this video, I'm not going to be using any foundation, which for me is not an easy thing to do. I literally want to cover everything. I've got a scar on my face here. If you guys remember, about a year and a half ago I had a cyst removed, so there's a scar there from where they stitched up my face. So this is going to be interesting. So the first thing that I'm going to do today is I'm going to prime my skin. I'm going to use the Ordinary High Adherence Silicone Primer. This is a really good primer for filling in all your bits and bobs. I've already moisturized my face using my Embryolisse, which acts in a primer as itself, to be honest. It's very moisturizing and I love it. So this is just to fill anything in, make your skin look a little bit smoother. And yes, I do go red when I start rubbing my face. And that's another reason why wearing foundation is so great for me, because if I get a little bit hot, if I get angry, I go red, especially in my cheek area. So I'm going to use concealers on my face. I've got 3 different ones here. These are the Colourpop No Filter Concealers, and they are amazing to use on the face as well as on the under eyes as well. I've got 3 different shades. I've got golden, medium tan and medium. Golden is an almost perfect match for my skin, so that is what I'm going to use all over my face in the areas where I feel that I need coverage. Let's move this earring just to get out of the way, pointing right at me. And I'm going to do my under eye area as well, because I've got darkness around here. Alright, so let's start off with golden. Where should we start? Let's start off with that scar. Got a bit of redness there. Standard Asian pigmentation here. Let's give myself a little moustache. This is the joke here. I actually need to shave my face to have face lasering done, and I've got such an obvious tash here. So let's just cover that a bit. Redness here. Chin. Little bit of redness here. Sides of the nose is always a bit of a problem area for a lot of people. Redness, redness. I can't believe there are actually people out there that only wear foundation. My best friend does not wear foundation. She wears concealer on her face, and that's like it. And I don't know how she does it, but she still manages to look awesome every day. Scar. Redness. Here. So we'll just leave that for the moment. And now let's move on to medium tan, which is slightly darker. With Colourpop concealers, once they touch your face, they start to darken a little bit, as you can see now. This is already a little bit darker. This is going to act as like a colour corrector, because it's not quite illuminating enough. Don't I look lovely? And this one, which is nearly finished because I use it so much, which is the shade medium, which I actually use to illuminate the high points of my face. And this, I'll just go over it. And now you should look ridiculous like moi. So what I'm going to do now is I've got this very damp beauty blender, and I'm just going to blend everything out. I've got a spot that is just here underneath my lips, so cover that a bit. And the great thing about using the beauty blender is that it kind of melds into the rest of your skin. So it's not so obvious that you've got concealer on in some places and you don't in others. Plus this is a very medium coverage kind of concealer, so it really blends out nicely. And as it's such a natural concealer, it really works well, almost like a faux foundation. So now there are parts of my face which are concealed and then parts that aren't. And I'm just using any extra bit that's kind of left on the sponge just to go over any other areas. But as you can see, it's not the same as foundation where you're worrying about it blending into your neck, because you're just concealing and kind of moving it around a little bit. And this will definitely be more for my gals who've got skin like me, who haven't got such perfect skin. So now you can see my skin looks like my skin but better. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of set the areas on my face where I've applied the concealer very lightly in some areas and a little bit more heavily in others. So I'm going to do it more heavily under my eyes because I don't want there to be any creasing. I'm using the RCMA no colour powder. I've actually never used this before. It's the first time I'm using it, so I'll be interested to see how this works. I can see messy things happening. Just use this brush, which is my Real Techniques contour brush, which, if you guys know, I've used for like forever to do these kind of things. So just alright, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the cap because this is ridiculous and I'm just making a mess. Better. There we go. Ah, that's better. Around the nose. All those areas where you know you may get creasing or oiliness. Oh my god, this is getting everywhere. Around your smile lines. And now you should look like this, like you've been trying to bake and it just didn't happen. So we'll just leave that there for a minute and then start to wipe it off. No colour powder, yeah? I can see the colour and it looks white. See, the thing is, if you've got a skin tone like me, using these kind of powders aren't always the best thing to leave on their own. So I am going to be using obviously other things on my face, because now to me I've got a slight white cast, but that's fine because at the end of the day I need it to do its job, which is to keep my concealer in place. I did not put it on other parts of my face where I can still feel a little bit of slight tackiness from the concealer, but that will settle down because concealers dry down to almost powder finish. Alright, I look like I got rabies from that powder. So, the Carmex lip balm, which I use all the time to prep my lips while I do the rest of my makeup. Alright, so the brows. Now, natural brows. I normally use the Dip Brow by Anastasia Beverly Hills. Obviously, that's when you want perfect carved eyebrows, which look unnaturally perfect, which is what we're not going for today. So we're going to use a brow pencil, and this one is Colourpop's brow pencil, and this shade is in Bangin Brunette. And I'm not going to try and be very neat about it. If you guys can see, my eyebrows are fairly okay as it is. There's a few gaps, and I'm just going to lightly brush through them just to fill them in slightly, but the shape is already there because I get them threaded. And just brush little strokes as the colour starts to build up. And then because there is a spoolie on the other end, that's how you can brush it through in case you go a little bit too heavy-handed with the actual pencil. This one is my favourite eyebrow because this one doesn't give me problems like the other one does. Stupid eyebrow. Alright, now I need to brush it through because I can see I've been a little bit heavy-handed. And on the front of your eyebrow, because that's the area you don't want it to look so thick, just brush it upwards to brush out some of that product so it looks more natural. That's it, I'm happy with the eyebrows, but what I'm still going to do is I'm going to just use a little bit, a very, very slight amount of concealer just to carve under it slightly. So I'm going to use my Born This Way concealer in the shade light medium. Any concealer will do. I'm just trying to finish this one up, so I've been using it for my eyebrows recently. And this is just a MAC 194 SE. I think it's a concealer brush, and it's got this lid because it was part of the Christmas packaging a long time ago. So just a very, very slight amount. And I'm not going to do it above my eyebrows like I would normally do. Alright, this is not easy because my mirror is quite far away. I normally like this when I do my eyebrows, so let me just do that here. And this will just make them look a little bit neater. And because the concealer is a little bit lighter, it'll give the illusion of tidiness. And then I just use my finger just to blend it out and blend it into my skin, just so that it's not obvious that I've got concealer there, really, that they naturally look neat. Okay, so the brows are nearly done now. I'm just going to set them using Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. This is just so that they don't move throughout the day and that they stay in the place that I want them to stay. Right, let's move on to the eyes now. So I am going to be using a little bit of eyeshadow, but not too much. But the first thing I'm going to do is prep them, and I'm going to be using my Urban Decay Primer Potion in the shade Enigma. This is a neutral matte, but the thing is, because I'm not going to be using a lot of eyeshadow, I am only going to put a tiny bit of this on because it has got colour and it will neutralise all my eyes. But the thing is, because it's a neutral colour, what will happen is that I will have to apply eyeshadow everywhere to cover up this colour. So I want my eyes to obviously look quite natural, so that's why I've just put there you go. You see, it's almost pretty much blended into my own skin tone rather than creating another skin colour like normally happens. So that's it, just blend it in. I think I've put a little bit more on this one than the other one, but that's fine. And I'm almost blending it up into that concealer so that it's seamless between the two. And that's that. And whatever is left over from this RCMA, let me just go over that just to make it a little bit more smooth, because concealer is a tacky product and so is primer. Right, so the eyeshadows that I'm going to be using today are from the Semi Sweet Chocolate Bar palette from Too Faced, as there's lots of obviously lovely soft muted shades in here. So the first one I'm going to take is this shade called Coconut Cream, which is just a plain matte ivory shade, and I'm going to use this Sigma brush. It's a Sigma blending brush, I don't know, I'll list the name below. And I'm just going to go over all my entire eye to give it a soft wash of colour. You can barely see it, but that's the whole purpose. I am going in quite generously, but I don't want there to be a big build-up of colour because it's quite a muted ivory shade. I don't think I'm going to do a brow bone shade. That is so hard for me because I love my I love my highlighted brow bones. So we're going to leave it as it is, just looking soft and natural and untouched. And I think the shade I'm going to take from here is the shade Peanut Butter, which is like a warm toned caramel matte shade. And I'm going to use this Zoeva 228 crease brush. It's one of my favourite crease brushes as it's long tapered but it's still fluffy. And what we're going to do is we're going to go out into the outer V area just to create a little bit of dimension. So just go like that, plop it in the corner and just drag it upwards so that you're creating a tiny bit of dimension to your eye and still giving it a little bit of warmth, a little bit of colour. If you've got a deeper skin tone, you may want to apply a little bit more of this shade than I am, or maybe go for the shade Truffled, which is a little bit darker. So as you can see, I'm proper blending it out. I'm just going to go in with a little bit more, just to keep blending and blending and blending. And because I put those other shades underneath, it makes it softer and easier to blend out, meaning you won't get any like obvious drag lines. Now I'm just dragging it in slightly just because I'm starting to taper off the colour so that it's not like a block of colour, it's just kind of a gradient shade going from darker to lighter. And now do exactly the same thing on the other eye. There we go, looks lovely and natural, still with a tiny bit of colour, and you can keep blending it out, it's up to you really. Now one issue that I have today, and that's my fault, not you guys' fault, I am going to be using falsies, but the problem is my duo glue is the dark tone one, I don't have the clear one. So I thought, how am I going to put these on without, obviously I normally have my black winged eyeliner, which is like my signature thing, I do it all the time. So I am going to have to apply some eyeliner, but to keep it natural, I'm just going to use eyeshadow and use a brown eyeshadow. And I'm just going to stamp it on top, just so that when I apply the eyelashes, you cannot see, or it's not so obvious that I've got, you can see like a black line, if that makes sense. So the shade I'm going to use for this is the shade Truffled, which is a dark warm toned brown. And I'm just going to start to very gently stamp it from the corner, going inwards. I'm not going to wing it out. This will give your eye a little bit more dimension and make it look a little bit more open. But mostly, like I said, I'm just doing this so that I can put the falsies on top. And just that little winged bit there, just kind of blend it in. Actually, just take that brush and just blend it, because I don't, even though obviously this is like a definer brush, it's leaving a line, I don't want there to be like a winged line here. Start from the outside and make your way in. That way it's easier, that way the darker or more of the product is on the outside part of the eye rather than the in, because you want your eyes to look open rather than closed. And bear in mind, I've only gone into the palette once. Don't go more than once, because otherwise you'll end up with too much of a darker line above your eye, which you obviously don't want. And then even once I've got the line put down, I'm just blending over it to make it a little less stark. Okay, while I carry on with the rest of my face, what I normally tend to do with my eyelashes is I put the glue on and I leave them to the side for about 10 minutes so they can become tacky. So the ones I'm using today are these ones by Vegas Nay. They're called Easy Elegance. They're very soft, they're very wispy, but they make your eyes look a little bit open. And these are one of my favorite kind of natural eyelashes. So I'm just going to use these with some duo glue, which is the dark tone one. And I'm just going to put them to the side. So I'm going to use some mascara, and this is the Revlon Mega Multiplier Mascara, which is what I've been using for the past few months. Normally I would say use an eyelash curler. I do not appear to have one with me. So use an eyelash curler first and then apply your mascara. Be careful how you apply it because you don't have your eyeshadow to protect you, your black eyeliner to hide it if you make any mistakes because of the mascara, because we all been there, done that. You know, got perfect eye makeup and then blob. So now to open up my eyes slightly, I'm going to use the shade Butter Pecan, which is this very kind of shimmery, golden ivory champagne sort of shade. And I'm going to apply that to my inner tear duct to open up my eyes slightly and just to give a little bit of colour other than the boring browns above. Because nothing's going on the lower lash line, you want your eyes to look a little bit, you know, a little bit something. And then I am going to use mascara on my lower lash line just so that they can look a little bit more open. If you don't have very big eyes, I would always suggest using lower lash mascara. But if you are going for that natural makeup look and you've got quite large eyes, you can leave this out. I'm using the Maybelline Push Up Angel Mascara, which I always use for my lower lash line because it's got a very thin wand, which is very easy to apply to your lower lashes. And again, be careful applying this. Don't get it on your skin because you've got no protection from eyeshadow where I normally find where I can hide a mistake. Now my eyes look a little bit more awake, and as I only put a little bit of lash glue on my eyelashes, hopefully they should be okay now to apply to my eyes. So I'm just using this Bourjois lash applicator, which, as you guys have seen in my tutorials, I always use this to apply it, then I use tweezers to poke down the edges. It's just how I've always done it. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use my mirror because I need to be very careful because I'm so conscious that this is a dark toned glue, and I need to place it in the place where it's not going to move from. I can't do that thing that I normally can do, is put it down and then drag it around because I've got black eyeliner on. Okay, it's hovering, people, it's hovering. And it's sticking to my bloody eyelashes. Okay, that one seemed to work alright. Now, hold my breath for the next one. You've got to get it as close to the lash line as possible. Try not to grab your own lashes like I have. And then just gently push it down. So let's move on to the face. Normally at this point I'd be contouring and all kinds of stuff, but not today, people. Today, well, we will do some sort of contour, but more to warm up the face rather than to shape it. So I'm going to use this bronzer by Colourpop. It's called CA Dreamin', and I am going to apply it to my face using this Sigma Large Angled Contour F40 brush. But this is more to warm up my face rather than to give it dimension. So very lightly, doing it as if I am contouring my face, but if it's a little bit messier than it normally is, it's not a big deal because I'm not trying to go for that kind of face that I normally do. Just do it a little bit around here. Get a little bit of warmth going on, a little bit over the nose, nothing too extravagant. Oh my god, this is so not me, guys. I feel plain. Then for blush, I'm gonna go with something fairly warming to the cheeks, and this is Colourpop's Tulip to Quit. It's one of my favourite blushes by theirs, and this brush is, I've had this for a while, I've never used it. It's a number 7 blush brush. I think I got it in some Christmas set or something. So tap off the brush, and then just go in with it. Warm up the face more. This is natural for me, guys, by the way. I hope none of you are thinking, that's a lot of blush. Maybe. Maybe not for me. Okay, so that is now done. So I am going to use some highlighter. And the highlighter that I am using today, because my face looks quite matte, I need to bring some sort of glow to it. So I'm going to use one of these Extra Dimension Skin Finishes by MAC. This one is called Beaming Blush. It's like a warm toned golden shade. And I'm going to use it on my cheekbones and the usual places using this Morphe M310 large fan brush. So just load up that brush, tap it off. See, it's not too intense, but just enough to give you a really nice soft sort of glow. Can you see it's not my usual standard of highlighting, because these Extra Dimension Skin Finishes can be intense. You can make them intense, but it takes a while to get there. So I'm happy to just kind of build it up and blend it in. Let's do a little bit on the nose, the end of the nose, a little bit in the middle, again to create a little bit of dimension. Let me just wipe off my lip balm now, because that's what I normally do. Let them get moisturized and wipe it off. And just use a little bit of that highlighter on the Cupid's bow. This is just to make your lips look a little bit fuller. Got a little bit on the lips. Ew. And this is just to make sure there's no harsh lines between the highlight and the blush. Right, for the lips today, we are again going neutral. And this is the Revlon Colour Stay Lip Liner in the shade Nude. So I'm just going to use that to outline my lips. And the lipstick is also from Revlon, and it is called Bare Affair. It's one of their super lustrous lipsticks. I think it's new because they just sent it to me and I really wanted to try it. Okay. Oh, it's so much more easier to use than liquid lipstick, so you have to be so perfect. I like this. It's like my lips are better. Nice colour. Revlon sent me a bunch of lipsticks. My mom stole them all except this one. She don't do nudes. Now normally I would leave it like this, but I feel the need to be a little bit extra because I'm not as glowy as I normally am. So we are going to use Rihanna's what's this called? Fenty Glow Gloss Bomb, which is a universal shade which is suitable for everybody, just to give a little bit of gloss to the lips. Oh dear. Whacked myself on the side. Oh, my skin feels so soft without using foundation. Wow. Wow. And that's it. Let me just fix up this hair now and I will be back in a moment. Voila, I am back. I just had to fix up that hair because it was just looking like a bush. And so this is my completed look. This is my natural makeup, no foundation makeup look. This, like I said, this is very strange for me. I feel plain. I don't feel like my usual self, but hey, so I wanted to try this tutorial just to show you guys what you could also do if you didn't want to use foundation. I mean, you don't even have to use eyeshadow if you don't want to, but bear in mind that your eyes do get a little bit oily throughout the day, so maybe throw on some sort of powder just to keep them looking nice and smooth. So that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment and subscribe. Give me any ideas for tutorials that you may want to see, or other how-to videos. I'm thinking about how to do a video, how to stop under eye creasing, how to keep foundation on your nose, that sort of thing, because these are things that I have learnt over time and I'm happy to share it with you. Like at the moment, no creases under the eyes, probably because of the way that I baked, but but I would prefer to do a video specifically just for that for you guys. And that's it, so I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!